Hey there folks. So in this video it's just going to be a very short little ad that we're just going to do just to kind of tidy up the lighting situation and things that are happening in here. Now obviously I've got rid of all of the lights. This is a completely unlit game. The tile maps and the tile sheets, the tile sets, the sprites, everything is using paper 2D unlit materials. But everything looks really, really bright. So if I go and have a look at the individual tile sets that we've been working on, these tile sets here are really dark, but when we look at it in our map, we're going to get this very light kind of grey with everything. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go in here and we're going to basically override properties that we're seeing in our project settings. We're going to do that with this post-process volume. So we're going to add in this post-process volume. Honestly, it doesn't really matter where we put this, because what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and just search for Unbound. And Unbound means that it affects the whole map, everything. Now I'm going to use this as my kind of global post-process. So what I'll do is I'll rename this one to global PP volume, and that's going to be my global post-process volume. You can use versions of this that aren't unbound, that cover areas of your level to kind of tweak bits at particular points, but this is going to be for controlling everything for my level overall. Now why am I doing this? Well, the exposure settings that exist in Lens, if you can't find them, just type in exposure. You might find here that this might still be using some of these kind of histogram values that we have. And if I go into my project settings, have a look at what I've got set up in here, maybe in my rendering section, I've got things like lumen all turned off. But if I go down here and find my exposure settings, I probably would be better to just search for them. But you can see manual 1. There are some options here that maybe I want to reduce and kind of control. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn on my metering mode, the compensation, turn off the physical camera and change it to manual. And now that exposure compensation, I can just use this as a value to just control how bright and how light things are going to be. So if you are finding that maybe some parts of your thing are glowing a bit too much, you can see that I can use that just to kind of pull those elements back a little bit. Now it's not perfect. You might find that you need to go in and tweak things a little bit more, but that just gives me something that feels a bit closer to what the actual artwork and tiles are going to be. So yeah, add in your own global post-process volumes, play around with some of these values. There might be other things that you might want to tweak in here, as well. Things like the bloom on really bright emissive elements. It doesn't have to be that you use the camera setting. You could also go in there and start messing around with things like having the minimum EV and maximum EV be exactly the same. So for example, if we went to the auto exposure histogram, we could go with min and max EV, set these to something like 0.4 and 0.4. That's not really fixed it at all, has it? So let's go with a higher value, maybe 4 and 4. There we go, that's much closer to what we were looking at. So a higher value there would definitely work. So there we go, that's kind of the same end output, but it's completely up to you. Do you want to have that kind of global camera based thing, or do you want to just set a minimum and a maximum exposure value and then just define it from there? And I can just make these much higher if I need to, so they both match up. That one is obviously going to be really dark, but you can see that the bright colours like the red are really going to pop out from that. So play around with those values, see what works, try and get the ones that match up with whatever your tile sets and your tile textures are going to be matching up with, and test it out. Thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing to access more of my Unreal Engine content.